Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to First Wednesday Breakfast at the West LA Chamber of Commerce. How's everyone doing?
Great.
How is everyone doing?
Excellent.
Woo! Yeah! The crowd goes wild. Anybody wake up before 5 a.m.? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Woke up at 6, and I thought I was already ahead of the game. 4:30. 4:05. Anyone not sleep? Bruno.
Bruno didn't sleep.
I think Bruno won last time. The non-sleep guy. Good to be back. Welcome to 2020. I don't think we met last month, right?
Yes.
No wonder I felt like this hollow within me. I was walking the streets and I'm like, something is missing. Something is missing. And it's that we didn't meet up. So good to see you beautiful people again. Let's get things started on the right track. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Leading us is Scott Whittle with Incal Associates. Please stand up. Let's face the direction of the flag. Right hand over our chest. Scott, whenever you're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Scott. Huge thanks to Pierce Brothers for making this venue available, by the way. Awesome venue. I think it's great. Great lighting. Great decor. So for those who stumbled in here, and you're like, oh, I don't have anything to do, I haven't slept all night. Oh, what? Well, the West LA Chamber of Commerce meeting. Let me show up to that, right, Bruno? Absolutely. Why are we here? We're here. The mission of the West LA Chamber of Commerce is to enhance opportunities for the businesses in our community in West Los Angeles through advocacy, referral, and education. Why else are we here? Why do we come here early in the morning when we could be sleeping, watching YouTube, or anything else? Why do we come here? Come here to network, to mastermind. For me, it's cheaper than therapy. There's a great support group here. People are nice. I extend my hand and they follow with a handshake. Doesn't happen often, so that's good. Why else are we here? Anyone want to share? Some of the veterans here. Why do you keep coming back? Yes.
You know, I keep coming back is because a lot of times you build relationships. You see them month after month, and you get to know them, you get to know them personally, you get to know their families, and you build a trust. And after a few months, maybe you decide that you want to do business with them. A lot of times you can't do that by just meeting someone one time and exchanging cards. But if I can talk to Frank or I can talk to Elizabeth, I see them all the time, I build a relationship, you build trust, and then makes you want to do business with them.
Absolutely, 100%. There's nothing that bothers me more than going to a networking event and then like meeting this person. I'm like, oh my God, you're so amazing. You are awesome. You are my soulmate. And then I never see them again because they just showed up one time. And it's like disappointing and sad. So I agree. The value comes with coming back. A lot of people just, unless you're like super amazing and you have like this gravitational personality, which I definitely do not have, like the chances of you just giving a card to someone and being like, oh my God, yes, I want to do, it's difficult. I think the value comes in coming back and back. I kept seeing Frank all the time. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Frank, you're just like always in my way. Can you help me with my marketing printing material? And that happened today. But it was like, Frank, Jesus, you're here every time. No, absolutely agree. I totally agree with you, Philip. The value comes with coming back. So I would encourage everyone who's here, if you're visiting, don't show up on time. Don't disappoint me. I want to see your face again. Anybody else want to share? Veterans, why do you keep coming back?
I want to see my soulmates.
I agree. Thank you, Steve. I was kind of talking to you the whole time.
Soulmates.
Big hug, big hug.
Air hug, for sure. I agree.
I think we have great speakers that come and talk to us, and it's a fantastic opportunity to meet such knowledgeable, interesting, and important people who come to our chambers and speak to us. And it's great to have that opportunity.
I totally agree. That's one of the reasons I keep coming back. I mean, there's many reasons, but West LA Chamber of Commerce, it's like, I don't know, sometimes I come in here, I'm like, where are these speakers coming from? Like, Bruce Bay, where do you find these people? These are people that normally I would go and, pay at an event to go hear them speak, and we have them here at the West LA Chamber of Commerce. Education, there we go. How important is that for a business? The most successful businesses are the ones who are educated, and the Chamber of Commerce offers that opportunity. Were you going to say something, Bruce Bay?
Best part of the chamber for me, one of the best part, to get the legislation update from the Ted Green.
Absolutely, absolutely. I follow you on Facebook,
Here,
that's
here.
the only reason I come. Anybody else? Yes.
A very long time ago, we were out in the valley, and the chamber there said to me, representative, everybody contacts us because they want to know what the chamber can do for us, but nobody says, what can I do for the chamber? And I believe very strongly that as business leaders in the community, we have a responsibility to give back. And if we can do it by being active in the chamber, that's a huge step for us, and that's why we're here.
I totally agree with you. And I think the chamber sometimes filters out those people who just want to come in and give me. And I think those are the people who get the least out of it. I think there's incredible value in providing and not necessarily giving just because you want something in return. I think that's, in my short life, that's one thing that I've learned. If you're going to give something to someone, do it because you don't expect anything in return. And then surprisingly, stuff comes back. Funny how that works. So, how cool would it be what if we had like someone, we're all busy, there's a bunch of legislation going on, right? Like, so much to read, so much on YouTube, so much on Facebook. And for businesses, like I mentioned, educated businesses are successful businesses. How cool would it be if we could have like our own private guy who does all this research and he's super competent and that's all he dedicates his time to, and all of a sudden he just comes in and he gives you the spark notes to everything. Kind of like being in school and not having to read the whole book, and then just having your schoolmate come in and be like, hey, this is the rundown. And many successful, powerful enterprises do have that. Or politicians, they have people who brief them on what's going on in the world. Now, that's not accessible to everyone. But here at the West LA Chamber of Commerce, we have our own personal legislative consultant to brief us on what's going on. Please help me welcome for our special segment, Mr. Ted Green.
Thank you very much.
It is yours. We are honored. Thank you.
High expectations for 7 in the morning. So I'm Ted Green, pleased to be here. I actually have 5 topics that I want to cover this morning. So my assignment is to get through the 5 topics without boring you or outraging you. So I feel like I'm walking a tightrope this morning. I want to start with 2 pieces of legislation that I want to call to your attention, and you may choose to communicate with your elected officials, your state assembly member, your state senator on these 2 bills. I think everyone knows the state legislature came back in session, right about a month ago, and they are wrapping up their consideration of 2-year bills that were introduced last year and are still being considered this year, as well as introducing new bills. And I want you to be aware of 2 bills that were both introduced this year, just last month. So they're really at the start of the process. The first bill by Miguel Santiago, who represents kind of downtown and central Los Angeles, is AB 1907. And it deals with the approval process for emergency shelters, supportive and affordable housing. And last year, Assemblymember Santiago introduced a bill which was AB 1907. And what it said was for emergency shelters and supportive housing proposed by the County of Los Angeles or the City of Los Angeles, they are exempt from CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. As you probably know, the California Environmental Quality Act is often used by NIMBYs and by environmentalists to slow down or halt development projects. And Santiago's argument was, as we all know, we're in a housing crisis, we're in a homelessness crisis, we've got to get emergency shelters and supportive housing built, and we can't accept kind of bureaucratic delays, the delays that come from CEQA. So that bill was introduced and passed and signed by the governor for the City of Los Angeles and the County of Los Angeles, projects proposed by the County of Los Angeles. What this bill does is it takes the same concept and says two changes. One, we're going to apply it statewide, and two, we're going to add in affordable housing so that CEQA cannot be used as an impediment for emergency shelters, for supportive housing, and for affordable housing projects. So that's bill number one. Bill number two is SB 850. This was introduced by Senator Connie Leyva from the Inland Empire. And this is one that may directly affect some businesses here in the room and members of the chamber. This deals with the issue of predictive scheduling. So how much notice are employers required to give their employees about their hourly schedule in the future? And this bill directly applies to restaurants, retail, there's a third category that I'm looking for on here. Grocery stores. Grocery stores, restaurants, and retail. And basically what this bill says is employers have to give their employees 28 days notice on their schedule, and if there are changes, the employer can be penalized. And the way they get to the 28 days is those employers have to give 3 weeks notice, so that's 21 days, and they have to do that a week before the first shift, so that's 28 days. Obviously, I mean, restaurants are a good example where it's hard to know what is going to be going on March 2nd, which, if I'm doing my math right, is 28 days from now, March 3rd. You know, a restaurant might get a big catering order a week from now, 2 days from now. And as a restaurant, you want to say, thank you, we will have it there for you. But this creates burdens for those employers. And the same is true with retail and grocery stores. So, any questions on either of those two bills? Steve?
What kind of traction does this be 50 now? I mean, that seems like a huge burden to anyone who owns a restaurant, well, any of those businesses, quite honestly. You know, if you have a normal business where it's like, hey, we work from 9 to 5:30, it's pretty easy, but those businesses really have struggled with that. So what kind of traction does this seem to be getting?
So, it's brand new bill. You can see on here it was introduced on the 13th of January. It's been assigned to 2 committees. So it hasn't been heard by a committee yet. So I can't say to you, well, it passed the committee 5-2. I mean, it hasn't even been scheduled. It's too early to be scheduled for a hearing. Having said that, I think this is a serious threat. I think this is a real bill in an election year. I understand the way you describe the bill, but from a political point of view, the bill is going to be described as, you know, protecting employees against the uncertainties of changes in their shifts. And that's a politically appealing description in an election year. So I think this is a real serious bill, which is why elected officials need to hear from business people who are trying to run their businesses who see how this would be a burden, who can explain, you know, here's how I fairly treat my employees in terms of their shifts, and how this would be a burden.
One other thing in regards to CEQA. So if I'm understanding what you're saying right, that the very people who pass CEQA are now wanting to be exempt from CEQA, is that?
No, people who are looking to build affordable housing didn't pass CEQA. It was the same legislature that passed CEQA.
Right, maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead at this point, but the city of LA, those guys, they push for that. And now they're saying, well, but we want to be able to build and do our thing, so we think we should be exempt from that.
Well, there have been serious pushes by the business community to reform CEQA.
Sure.
And one of the arguments against these kind of exemptions is CEQA is so screwed up, we need to tackle it big picture. And if you just sort of chip away at it on kind of highly desirable things like a football stadium in Inglewood,
Right.
or a basketball stadium in Sacramento, or emergency shelters, we're never going to get to the big picture reform of CEQA. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, okay, I get that, but we've got to build emergency shelters. We've got to house people who are homeless, and so that's why we need these reforms. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
In regards to the work schedule, is this kind of a case of, like, the DA will often charge the defendant with 15 different counts and to convict them of one count? They work their way down. You think this will get down to like a week, ultimately? Like
as it goes through the legislative process?
Yeah, you think it'll get whittled down? They were going for 30 days, 28 days.
Like bargaining.
Bargaining, you think
Right.
that's what will happen?
That could be, does everyone understand this point? If I'm going to negotiate with you, I'm going to ask high, you're going to offer low, and we're going to meet somewhere in the middle. That may be the case, but frankly, this may be a powerful enough idea to get through without that kind of negotiation. I mean, ultimately, what employers need to worry about are workers' claims that go through the labor judicial system, and that's where employers can really get dinged. Other questions, then I'm going to move on to my next topic. Yes, sir.
On 850,
Yes.
is there anyone who's taking the lead to oppose it, to consolidate efforts?
So it's a new bill.
Right.
It's been out for 2 weeks now. I'm bringing it to you fresh. I fully expect the California Restaurant Association, the California Retailers Association, and the California Grocers Association to powerfully oppose it. But they need our help. And ultimately, legislators respond to the people who vote or don't vote for them. And Senator Allen and Assemblymember Bloom, if you live right here in this immediate area, need to hear why this is a bad idea. Because they're going to hear from plenty of people on why it's a good idea. Okay? All right, let's move on to number 3, which is proposition, I'm going to watch the reaction right over here, which is Proposition 13. And it's not the Proposition 13. So everyone knows, I'm sure, that we're having a statewide primary election on March 3rd, less than a month from now. And there's one statewide proposition on the ballot. And it's numbered Proposition 13. Now, let's just start with, why is it Proposition 13? In 2018, the numbers of statewide ballot measures was reset to number 1. In 2018, between the primary and November, there were 12 ballot measures. So the first initiative, the first proposition on the primary ballot in this year is Proposition 13. It has nothing to do with what we all think of when we hear Proposition 13. And what this proposition does is it authorizes the state to sell $15 billion in bonds for school facility construction. $9 billion for preschool and K through 12, and $6 billion for community colleges, Cal State, and UC, including UCLA. So the way most construction happens in our school facilities, bond money. Why are bonds used for school construction? Simply because school facilities, like other infrastructure facilities, are used for decades at a time, and bonds are a means by which current taxpayers and future taxpayers who will enjoy the use of those facilities will pay for those facilities. Requires a majority vote. One concern that has been raised about this proposition is, this is raised by non-union contractors, is there's language in the proposition that gives preference to construction projects that have a project labor agreement, which will make it difficult for non-union contractors to get work that's funded by these bonds. Obviously, the pro argument is we need to have quality facilities in our schools. We need to seismically retrofit schools. We need to, in some cases, repair schools that are damaged by wildfires. And this is the means by which taxpayers pay for that. You'll have your opportunity to vote on this on March 3rd. Any questions on Proposition 13? Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is a little bit more on the March election. So absentee ballots have gone in the mail or are going in the mail this week. Has anyone received theirs yet? You got your LA County?
Yeah, right here, yes.
Yeah. So if you are a vote by mail voter, you're going to get your ballot this week. You have until Election Day to return it or put it in the mail. Now you can mail it on Election Day. As long as it's received by the following Friday, your vote will be counted. Yes, sir.
I was just going to say to those of you who do get it, it's totally revamped. It's not like a mail-in ballot that you've ever received before. In fact, I think the first thing you get on the ballot is Prop 13. And you're looking like, well, where are the elected officials? And then you have to go through the judges, and finally at the very back are the political offices.
Right.
So don't get confused.
Right. So one of the changes that's happening in LA County this year is the ballot is flipped. We're all kind of used to the first thing you vote for is president, then maybe governor, senator, Congress, state senate, state assembly, state propositions, county supervisor, city council, water board, sanitation district. LA County has flipped the ballot. So the first thing you'll see on the ballot, under the scenario I just gave, is sanitation district, and then water board, and then city council, and then city measures, and then county supervisor and county measures, all the way down to the last ballot, to the last item, will be your vote in the presidential primary. So that's one change. The other big change in LA County is we are no longer using polling places. So everyone is familiar with LA County. We had 6,000 polling places that are open on Election Day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. We're at a point now where about 70% of the ballots in the primary will be cast by mail. About 30 will be voted at a traditional place where you go and vote. But LA County is moving to voting centers. There's going to be 1,000 voting centers around LA County. The big change is the voting centers are going to be open in some cases 3 days prior to the election and Election Day, and in some cases 9 days prior to the election and Election Day. The other big change, under polling places, you had to go and vote at the polling place closest to where you work. Closest to where you live, where you're registered to vote. With voting centers, as an LA County voter, you're eligible to vote at any voting center in LA County. So if you live here on the west side, but you work in the San Fernando Valley, and it's more convenient for you to go to a voting center by where you work, or where you drop off your kids for school, or where you go see a movie on a Friday, you can go to any voting center in LA County, and they will print the ballot that's appropriate for you with the local races that you're entitled to vote on, and you can cast that ballot. You either have or will receive a mailer that looks like this, that lists all the voting centers. There are voting centers in Westwood and West LA, and of course throughout the county. And now you have the opportunity not just to vote on election day, but like I said, for either 4 days or 10 days. And they spell out in here which voting centers are open for 10, which are open for the shorter period. Any questions on any of that? Thank you very much. Be sure and vote.
Yeah. I do have a question.
Yes.
There was a move to change commercial buildings, in terms of the old Prop 13, and make them and reset their value, which would devastate thousands of businesses because their taxes would triple, quadruple. And I heard, is it going to be on any ballot anytime soon, or is that still just kind of?
It qualified.
So the question is about what's called split roll, which is basically a different set of rules for assessing property values for commercial real estate versus residential real estate. It is qualified for the November ballot. There's still the potential, but there could be a deal in Sacramento, and the proponents of that initiative could pull it from the ballot or not. Yeah.
Again, you say is commercial includes multifamily, it's not.
That's actually incorrect. The initiative that's headed towards November does not include multifamily buildings.
Okay, you did before, I know that.
Yeah, but they changed it.
They did.
Yeah. So it does not include.
It could be devastating.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the legislature doesn't try and put multifamily back in somehow. They can't do it on.
They can't do it via the initiative process.
It's
Yeah.
sort of like what they're trying to do with the rent control. Well, we didn't like the one that passed, now we can go back.
Right.
And that too is qualified
Correct.
for the fall election.
We're gonna have a big ballot.
It's going to be devastating for real estate.
Okay, I didn't put anyone to sleep. You're rooster. I'll try now.
Question, on AB 50 already in place, what is the enforcement process for AB 50?
SB 50 or AB 5?
AB 5, I'm sorry.
AB 5.
AB 5.
And that's what you asked me to talk about. And I have it on my list and I skipped it. So AB 5, I think everyone will remember, that deals with the issue of independent contracting. And there was a Supreme Court decision that basically made it very difficult for businesses to use independent contractors. AB 5 was passed last year, and it basically codified that Supreme Court decision. The legislature did enact a number of exemptions for different industries so that they are not covered by AB 5, but there's a whole lot of work that we all do that still is covered by AB 5. And what's happening now, now that it's the law, it became law January 1st, a lot of people sort of dawning on them, oh, wait a minute, the way we've been doing things is not legal anymore, and we have to change or get the law changed. There's a lot of confusion. So I wanted to just kind of update real quickly on some of the activities that are going on surrounding AB 5 and independent contracting, and thank you for reminding me. In terms of trucking, the trucking industry got a preliminary injunction against their portion of AB 5, and actually there was a federal court decision that AB 5 does not apply to independent trucking because of federal intercommerce laws. Also, Uber and Postmates are seeking an injunction against enforcement against them. Freelance journalists who fall under AB 5 and have a real small limit on the number of articles that they can write per year and still be considered independent. They have a preliminary injunction hearing set for March 9th. And the court reporters, same situation. They have filed for an injunction as well. The author of the bill last year, Lorena Gonzalez, who chairs the Appropriations Committee, she has introduced a placeholder bill where she said, I'm going to continue to work to improve AB 5. And basically what's happening is different sectors of the economy are lining up at her door to get their exemptions to the bill. There's also been legislation introduced to repeal AB 5, just repeal it outright. A couple challenges with that. One, it's Republicans who have introduced that bill, so it's not likely to go anywhere in the legislature. Number two, if you repeal AB 5, you're still stuck with the Dynamex decision that kind of caused the whole problem. And those industries that were successful in getting exemptions last year would no longer have those exemptions because they were part of AB 5. So repeal is problematic as well. And then finally, Uber, Lyft, Postmates, and Instacart have filed an initiative that they say they're going to put on the November ballot that deals with their portion of AB 5 and would change the workplace rules for app-based drivers and delivery people. They've put $110 million in their campaign committee, in their account, to kind of prove their seriousness. And their goal, I believe, is to, in the next couple months, negotiate a compromise with the legislature, and if not, have the voters vote on it in November. Again, that would only deal with this independent contracting issue for independent contractors working for app-based companies. Okay? Thank you very much.
Another huge round of applause for Mr. Ted Green. Huge savings, bunch of reading I don't have to do now. Got the Spark Notes, got the briefing. Thank you, Ted. Moving along, Bruce Bay, do we have any elected representatives speaking? No? All right, we're going to cross that off the list. So a very wise person once said, maybe about 30 minutes ago, it's not what the chamber can do for you, but what you can do for the chamber. Sis Bronner, I believe you have a couple words you want to share with us. Please help me welcome Sis to the stage.
My technical partner giving you all these cards? Great.
So, what I'd like to do first is I like to stand in the moment of gratitude, and I want you all to do that with me. So you're going to practice for today and what we're going to do, and I just want you to say thank you.
Thank you.
That's a 7 a.m. thank you, and it's a little bit closer to 8. So how about another thank you?
Thank you.
There you go. So I'm going to do a little bit of shameless self-promotion. I'm going to introduce myself and tell you who I am and the organization I'm with. I'm Cease Bronner. I am the founder of Action Steps for Success and the Chief Referral Officer. And as part of that, I'm also an executive director with BNI. BNI is the world's largest word-of-mouth marketing organization. And if you haven't heard of us before, it's because you haven't really visited the United States, which is one of the 78 countries that we happen to be in, with 250,000 members or 270,000 members. And I could go on about all the chapters. But the important part of that is this is International Networking Week. So it's not just that I'm here as BNI and telling you about these things, but more importantly, I'm here as an entrepreneur, a business owner like yourself, a representative, and I want you to be part of something that's now in its 13th year. It's a worldwide initiative of people who are particularly focused on the aspect of marketing their business through networking and helping one another. So it also provides leaders like yourself a chance to express gratitude to the others who have helped them get there. That's a very important part of what we do in our community and as business leaders. Our goal this year, and you're going to help me with it, which is why I asked you to say thank you, is to have 1 million thank yous this week. I don't know how many we're going to get out of this room, but I think that's a pretty impressive goal, and it's pretty easy, isn't it? Because with gratitude comes stronger connections. We spoke about it earlier. Might even have been Philip who was talking about the relationships earlier. and the gratitude that comes with that. And you've all heard that, you know, you do more business with people we know, like, and trust, and that type of thing. But do they really know that? How do they know that they're part of that gratitude relationship? So during this week, right, you're not going to get off the hook. It's Wednesday. We're half done. I'm going to give you an opportunity to contact the people or thank the people who've helped you on your journey to your success. Do you know who they are? Have you thanked them? Because we all have people around us who have participated in that in one level or another. So this is the perfect time to reach out and tell them thank you. And on these very fancy cards that I've given you, there's 2 different styles, they all have the numbers 1 through 5. So right now, I would like you to identify the 5 people, we're going to take just a minute, the 5 people who have helped you on your path to where you are today. They can be professional or they can be personal. You know what, I bet if you looked around this room, you could identify them. There's a couple people I'd like to thank. Ms. Bay, you don't ever get any recognition here, do you? Right?
No.
No. I would like to thank you as a business owner. He came and sought me out and found out how we could work together, and the relationship has been amazing. I would not be standing here today with you or know many of you if I hadn't had that professional introduction back. And so once you have your 5 people identified, you're going to give them the gift of recognition. It costs little or nothing. It's as simple as what I just did. It's writing a letter if you choose, if you're that way. It's sending them a note. Usually send out cards if you're more digital instead of a handwritten note. Promote them on social media, not just linking back and forth, but actually taking a moment to check into your Facebook or your other social media that you're doing and saying, thank you for how you participated in what it is I do today, and give them a little explanation on that. I'd like you to take it a step further. I really would like to encourage you to invite those people that helped you, that you're thinking, into your professional circle. It's more than just when I stand here and say B&I. You know, that's very obvious. But what is your professional circle? Invite them into your chamber meeting. Bring them to a Rotary lunch. Are you part of a professional network that they might not be aware of? Are you part of a more personal or religious organization, a sporting organization? Invite them to come run with you and your group of 20 people that you see every Sunday. Allow them to really reap the benefits of your relationship. You're going to catch me while I'm looking down at my notes, aren't you? But I want you to open up a world of referrals to the people who are deserving. Right now, if you do have your social media, and I noticed I won't really out him, but I'm going to, Steve Little checked in, right? If you're going to, yeah, he did on Facebook. So if you check in, why not use the hashtag for International Networking Week, which is hashtag INW2020. Let other people know that you're participating on this path. I want to begin this march, my march for my 1 million thank yous, by thanking all of you for being part of my professional organization, for being part of my circle, for listening to my podcast, for inviting me to speak, for doing all the things that I love and enjoy so much. But most of all, I want to thank you for the professional relationships that I've achieved here. And so each one of you are going to be hard to fit on my 5 lines. But thanks.
Thank you, sis. That was beautiful. I agree. Gratitude is definitely the beginning of happiness, contentment, and a good life. Beautiful speech. Yes.
I'll give a shout out to Bruno right now. In front of everyone, this man here has been instrumental in my business flourishing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. LAV1 for all your marketing and internet needs, website. Bruno, please give him a call.
Nice. Philip. Nice. Shout out. Anybody else want to give some shout outs? Some thank yous? Bruno.
Thank you, Jose. I don't know how, he's the only person I know who sleeps less than me.
You don't sleep.
November of BNI 7 years. Love going, even though no sleeping doesn't matter. It's an amazing group of people that I'm proud of. Love to be, like the closest person, not just say hi, let's get a one-on-one. No, I want to really care for this person from my heart. This guy called me at 3 in the morning. He needs something. I'll be there. And you were awake.
And you were awake.
That was last call. Partying at that time? Just like, whoa, oh God. I'm still raving after you, yeah.
I want to say thank you to Roosevelt. I came to BNI about 5 months ago, and he's been working. Him and I have been working really close together. He never met him before, and I just want to say thank you for all your support that you've given me and the opportunity to do business with you. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone in the room. Because of you guys, Los Angeles is the most beautiful city in the earth.
Absolutely.
Brand new city. We're going to make it best and most business city friendly, hopefully, in the nation. Right now it's bottom of the list, but we're going to bring it up.
And let me thank you, Daniel, because I'm not a morning person, but the way you conduct the meeting every time, every month, you make us, wake up and get beautiful energy from you. Thank you.
I'll pass that on to my mom, she's still.
It's on tape.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, she still thinks I sleep all day and, I don't know. So thank you. No, absolutely. You guys are beautiful. Thank you to everyone in this group. Bruce Bay, I don't know how the hell you do it. You're always here
Thank you,
putting
Feb.
things together. Hundreds of people coming in here like we do, like other networking events. But every time I come here, there's sincerity, honesty, and we're a tight group. I don't think it's about the numbers, I think it's about the quality, and we definitely have a lot of quality here. So thank you to everyone. That being said, I am honored. It is a pleasure to introduce our next speaker. It's with great gratitude that I bring him on stage. A little bit about him before we have him come up. Ambassador Armin Bayburshin holds the position of Consul General of Armenia in Los Angeles since September 2018. This is his second tour of duty in California. He proudly holds the title of the first Armenian Consul General in Los Angeles. Please help me welcome Consul General to the stage. Is this okay with you, or do you prefer the podium?
No, this is fine. Yeah. Thank you very much, Daniel. You are really mastering in conducting the presentation.
Thank you.
And the whole event. And let me start by saying that I am really pleased and honored to be here with you today, and I want to express my gratitude to Rusbe Faranpur, first of all, and to the West Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, and for this opportunity to meet with you, to present my country and the opportunities that Armenia offers in terms of doing business. And today I want to talk about, very briefly, in my very brief presentation, about business opportunities that exist for investing in Armenia, doing business with Armenia here in Los Angeles, in California, and also to give you a little bit more idea about the country, people. I'm sure you know that there is an Armenian community here in Southern California, and not only in Southern California, but nationwide, but very sizable Armenian community also here. Having said that, let me say that it's a small country, Armenia, and having a population of only 3 million people. And the interesting part of this nation that we are, as Jewish people, as some other people, we are spread all over the world. And more Armenians live abroad than in Armenia proper. There are 8-9 million Armenians living abroad and only 3 million in Armenia. And another interesting feature of my nation is that geography. So Armenia used to be part of Asia. And on every antique map, you could see that Armenia is part of Asia, being located on crossroads between Asia and Europe, having a very strategic position, location between the east and the west, north and south. And Armenia was part of the Soviet Union, one of the 15 constituent republics of the Soviet Union until 1991, when it officially gained independence from the Soviet Union. And then when Armenia joined the United Nations next year, in 92, Armenia was allocated in the Eastern European group of countries within the General Assembly of the United Nations. So since 1992, Armenia is considered to be officially as a European country. And eastern most country of Europe. And to give you an understanding of the nation, let me tell you that during the Soviet period of 70 years, Armenia was the technological and scientific hub of the Soviet Union. And being a landlocked country between Black Sea and Caspian Sea, being landlocked, but Armenia was producing military high-tech for submarines. Very many Soviet satellites were made in Armenia, or a major part of satellites. Most civilian and military, and people are considered to be highly educated, and that tradition continues in Armenia. But after the breakup of the Soviet Union, Armenia politically, again, due to its nature of being located on the crossroads between Europe and Asia, started to integrate and develop relations with all countries and big associations, blocs. For example, Armenia is a member of Eurasian Economic Union, where Russia is, where Central Asian countries are, and at the same time, Armenia is integrating into the European Union, having very close relationship with European nations. Armenia cooperates with very many countries closely, and also enjoys very strong relationship with the United States. And the US, from the very beginning of independence of Armenia, strongly supported Armenia. And Armenia for a long time was second country in the world after Israel recipient of US assistance per capita. And mostly this assistance was initially humanitarian, then turned into technical and technological. And also, you should know that Armenia is an old Christian country, and heritage tourism is developing very rapidly in Armenia, and according to tradition, Armenian Christianity derives directly from Jesus Christ. According to tradition, Jesus Christ sent two of his apostles to Armenia, who established the Christian church in Armenia. And that's why we call our church Armenian Apostolic Church. It's one of the oldest Christian churches in the world. And very many of the disciples of Christ were coming and settling in Armenia. In terms of business opportunities, business. How remote Armenia can be of interest for you? First of all, it's a country, it continues the tradition of being a technological high-tech hub. Just a couple of days back, Forbes published an article about Armenia as a new technological hub emerging in the world. And very many US and California-based companies now are present in Armenia. For example, Synopsys, one of the largest US companies which has international exposure, so employs 900 engineers in Armenia. And very many, like for example, USB 3 and the other products that you use daily were designed in Armenia, very many other products. And other, like Cisco, very many other Microsoft companies are present and operate in Armenia. R&D is developing very rapidly. And last year, for example, there was World Congress of IT happening in Armenia that took place in Armenia. Very many big shots of the world were in Armenia. So we have very close relationship with the Silicon Valley companies, Los Angeles companies. And it's two-way traffic, not only from here to Armenia, but also from Armenia here. Very many companies from Armenia high-tech come and establish businesses here, not only in Silicon Valley, but also in Los Angeles. By the way, last year, when Prime Minister of Armenia visited California, a very important document was signed. California, state of California and Armenia. This document is called Framework Agreement on Cooperation, which means that we have also a very good legal basis for doing business and cooperating or advancing cooperation between California and Armenia. Before continuing the business part, let me tell you, I'm sure you are interested to know politically, in terms of advancement of democracy, what kind of a country in Armenia being located in a tough neighborhood. So Armenia is on its path of becoming a full-fledged democracy. And last year, no, already 2018, 2 years almost, a revolution, we call it a Velvet non-violent revolution took place in Armenia, and my small nation decided overwhelmingly to become an advanced democracy, and being the same club of the most advanced democratic countries in the world, and we call it not anymore emerging democracy, but a country that very rapidly moves to the status of full-fledged democracy, and also represents a model how it's possible to make this transition with all its legacy that we have, not easy legacy, to full-fledged democracy. And for business also, that's very much important, and because environment always matters. Tourism is developing very rapidly in Armenia. The overall number for a small country is not bad, but more important to look at the trend. We have on annual basis, 2 million tourists visiting Armenia. But the growth rate is 15-20%, on average 15%. It's increasing every year very rapidly. Armenia is one of the safest countries in the world. Officially considered one of the safest countries in the world. Then it's a beautiful nature. We have different types of climate on a very small territory. We have ski resorts that are famous. Very many tourists we have in that part of the world. At the same time, we tropical climate that's in the southern part of Armenia. Yerevan is very close to biblical Armenia, the country is called biblical Armenia. And heritage tourism, as I was telling, developing because you can find very old monasteries in Armenia, very old, even Greek style architecture, very unique Armenian architecture, and tourists are coming from all over the world. But US somehow is in terms of tourism still has a huge room to advance. That's why we started to promote actively tourism, and we are working also on having a direct flight to Armenia, even though Yerevan, the capital, is well connected through very many European cities, basically through every city in Europe, very many cities there is an opportunity to fly to Armenia, including budget airlines operate in Europe, from Europe to Armenia. And also we look at other opportunities. For example, there is a direct flight to Jerusalem from here. There are 3 airlines, and so we want to, also there is a direct flight from Jerusalem to Yerevan, Ben Gurion Airport to Yerevan. It's like less than 2 hours. So we work also on those with tour operators on developing packages also for, and also neighboring Georgia, neighboring to Armenia also is a very beautiful country of Christian heritage. So we try to also direct tourism towards Armenia through that way, directly, and all possible other ways. As far as tourism is concerned, also there are fantastic opportunities for investing in Armenia in hospitality sector. Very many hotels are on sale in Armenia, and opportunities to invest there, like Hilton is there, Marriott there, Hyatt is there, and for your information, Hyatt, no, Marriott, not Hyatt. Marriott was considered a couple of years back, was considered to be the most profitable Marriott hotel, Marriott Armenia hotel in the world. So based on its occupancy rate. So, and European also hotel chains are there. So fantastic opportunities for investing in Armenia in that sector. And right now, the government has a couple of hotels on its list of being privatized. If someone would be interested, I'll be happy to provide all this information and facilitate the business with Armenia and in Armenia. And interestingly, OPIC, Overseas Private Investment Corporation, provides privileged loans for doing business in Armenia. The percentage could be interesting in terms of interest rate. Could seem to be high, 5.5%, but this interest rate for loans to Armenia include political risk insurance, meaning that as American businesses, someone invests in a country which is not so well known, and so American government, US government provides also political risk insurance, and OPIC is official development agency of the United States, federal development agency in the United States. So also if someone would be interested, we can provide all the information how to get in touch with OPIC. The loans, the amount of loans starts from $100,000 and goes up without any limit. Even someone is interested to borrow $100 million, it's available. And still strike. So, another opportunity in Armenia for doing business is agriculture. Agriculture, food processing. So very many companies invest in Armenia from the United States. And Armenian products are well known in that part of the region, including wines and brandy, and in Latin apricot is called Lumus armenius. So Armenian plum. So, and without exaggeration, I never tasted something like Armenian apricot in the world. And very many other foods, jams, preserves, and other products exported to Europe, to former Soviet Union area, which is called Commonwealth of Independent States, etc., etc. So, wines I mentioned, brandy and wine. I think it's going to be interesting for you to know that Armenia is considered officially the birthplace of winemaking in the world. So a team of archaeologists conducted excavations in Armenia from UCLA, including UCLA, and a group of Irish archaeologists, and they found a place which is officially so far the oldest in the world, 6,100 years back goes the history of winemaking in Armenia. If any other place will be found later on, that could change. But so far, it's the oldest known in the world, officially recognized. You can Google today, later on, or anytime you want, but you will find it. So, and the tradition goes on, and US is a new market for Armenian wines and brandy, and so to give you an idea, just one of the wines, Zora, appeared in the market, US market, and immediately was ranked as one of the 10 best according to the Bloomberg list. So, etc., etc. But you will not see much in the market, so it's just coming, because somehow more Armenian producers were focusing and targeting Europe or Eurasia in general, also Russia, also other countries of that region. But now US is becoming another priority for businesses. I don't want to make my presentation too long, but also a couple of quick other points. Armenia is also very rich in natural resources. Armenia exports copper, gold, and molybdenum, and the main export destination of that is Germany. And also Armenia is very much advanced in jewelry and diamond cutting and polishing. And Armenia has 3 major partners. Those are Belgium, first country, US and Israel for jewelry, and also carpet making, for example. We spoke about tourism. Armenia produces, there are 2 major factories, 3 in Armenia, and both are from the United States. Tufenkian carpets, probably you heard about those because you can find even in Macy's Tufenkian carpets in some Macy's malls, and Megarian, including in the White House in Washington DC, you can see Megarian carpets displayed there. Let me stop here by summing up that we are open for business, and the Consulate General here in Los Angeles is based in Glendale. We are here to provide all the relevant information about Armenia if there is any interest to go further, and would love to have you start doing business with Armenia and in Armenia. And once again, thank you very much for this opportunity to meet you and talk about my country. Thank you so much. If any questions, I would be happy to answer.
considering trying to join the EU, since you're considered a European country or on the cusp?
The official policy of Armenia is not directed at the membership in the European Union, but integrating, and we have a very special agreement with the European Union on cooperation and partnership, which is a partnership agreement, which is called SEPA. And integration to the extent of becoming a membership is not on the agenda of Armenia. Yes, please.
How is Armenia's business with other countries like Iran in terms of commerce and tourism and that kind of?
Armenia has pretty strong business relations with Iran. There is a very strong trade going on between two countries. The volume is pretty high, and also there are mutual investments, both Armenian investments in Iran and Iranian investments in Armenia, and even it would be interesting for you to know that alternative sources of energy, for example, windmills, Iranians invest in that area in Armenia and very many other areas. Also, Armenia has a gas pipeline, natural gas pipeline linked to Iran, and we are receiving also gas. It's an alternative pipeline for Armenia. Please.
How do you enforce the sanction on Iran right now, and how affect your economics, and how you're dealing with the divestment? The companies doing the business with Iran, how they can doing the business with the United States then?
Sure. So, having a strong relationship with the United States, also we are very transparent in our relations with all countries, including Iran. So, and this is a strong point of our policy. And United States, let me put this way, doesn't have any problem, because Armenia, in whatever way, engages in trade with Iran. It's strictly within the framework of, it's not violation of any sanctions, let me put this way. It's in conformity with all the regime of trade relations. And there are also direct flights between Yerevan and Tehran. It's a little bit more than 1 hour flight. It's very close. And also, there are very many Iranian tourists visiting Armenia, especially during Nowruz time, Armenia and neighboring Georgia. Those are pretty popular destinations. And also, very many concerts of popular Iranian artists are organized in Armenia, and very many also come specifically for this purpose.
You mentioned that there's a two-way cooperation, United States and Armenia. And I'm thinking specifically Los Angeles, and I'm thinking more in terms of business-to-business opportunities, whether it's from here to Armenia or from Armenia to here. Are there any such events, such gatherings, such networks that we Los Angeles-based businesses could participate in?
Last year, for example, in September, the Consulate General in Los Angeles, our Consul General, organized a business symposium for businesses, local businesses. But it was in partnership with, for example, Los Angeles World Trade Center, Economic Development Corporation, Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, and so starting today, you will be on our list, and all new events that we'll be organizing, and so we'll be happy to work together with you, not only to send invitations, but also to work closely with you. And we have also in early May another important event. So Armenian products we are going to present at the festival early May in Glendale. And we also support, for information, not only Armenian producers and businesses in general, but also local. So we'll extend the invitation. I think it would be another opportunity.
Any other questions?
Each time that Armenia is mentioned, you can't separate Turkey. It seems like you're in the United States. How is that affecting our relationship economically with your country?
Armenia has strained relations with Turkey and with another neighbor of ours, Azerbaijan. And it's the region, naturally, any development of relations between U.S. and Turkey naturally affects Armenia. And we have our history of relationship with Turkey, and that naturally also one of the causes that today the relations are strained. So, but Armenia always was very much open from the very beginning of independence. But for your information, we don't have diplomatic relations with Turkey, let me put it this way. And Turkey refuses to establish diplomatic relations with Armenia, having some preconditions. So that would be my short answer to your question. Thank you.
If you guys have any other questions, you can ask them after. We're just going to try to close this up so we finish on time. But thank you, Consul General. I would like to do a round robin. Do we have time for that? Does anyone have anything against it? We'll finish up with that. No one said anything? We're going to start on this side of the room. If you can just stand up, tell us your name, your business, a little bit about your services. Let's try to keep it brief, maybe 15, 20 seconds. If we could start with Philip.
I'm Philip Gabriel with Scrubs Unlimited. I'm actually closing my store here in Westwood. I'm going to be going 100% mobile and online. So if you are interested in my products, you'll be able to find me online at scrubsunlimited.com.
Thank you, Daniel. My name's Dan Scott. Some people call me Dr. Death or Daniel Death because I'm a proud owner, along with Dr. Bill Manos, of a company called Pacific Exterminator. We specialize in general pest control and termite, primarily to commercial establishments, whether it be to restaurants, hospitality, property managers, and residential. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Frank. I'm with Minimum Press. I'm a commercial printer. We basically print anywhere from a business card to a window sign, anything that you can think of a name or a logo that you can put on something, we can do it for you. If anybody likes, I have some brochures with me, you can take them. Thank you.
Steve Little, State Farm Insurance. Any of those things that you can destroy, we can insure. So whether that's your home, your car, or even your life, we can insure all those things. Can't insure your marriage, but anything outside of that, we can insure. So
that's probably coming though.
something I'm very passionate about in my office is life insurance and the importance of having it. It is the one insurance I can promise you will use at some point. Steve Little, State Farm Insurance.
Judy Wazansky. I'm a real estate agent here. Been doing it for almost 30 years. I just got a new listing in Santa Monica. If you're interested, please let me know. Faith Wazansky.
Scott Whittle, I'm a real estate investor, and I'm here as a guest of Rusbeh, who's a longtime friend on the Westwood Neighborhood Council.
Ron Shaker, I'm with Merrill Lynch. It's my first time here. This is a very warm, familial group. I like it. I work in downtown. I help successful businesses focus on what they do, running their business, and I help them take care of the rest.
Welcome. We'll move to that table. Yep.
Hello everybody, my name is Shannon Guillory. I'm the location manager right here at Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Mortuary, as well as Gates, Kings and Gates, Muller, keeping all records in Santa Monica. So, welcome.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Faith Lieutenant, and I'm with Sue Wong, and we're holding a gala this Sunday. It's the Oscar Gala viewing party, and she's bringing beauty, magic, and transformation back to Hollywood. So if anybody's interested, I'm here.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Wes Coleman. I work for Pepsi. I was invited by Bruce Bay, so he served Pepsi at his restaurant. So, but I cover most of LA, everything from restaurants to nightclubs to bars, lounges. So if anybody has restaurants or anything along those lines that is interested in Pepsi and our wide range of products, feel free to reach out to me. But thanks for inviting me.
Good morning, my name is Helen Reswan. I'm a photographer. If you need any headshots, I'm out. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Bruno Pisano. I design amazing websites and also put companies on the first page of Google, and recently have been one very valuable testimonial, which is Kevin O'Leary from the Shark Tank. I'm going to feature this testimonial. If anyone has any great website or any web work, I'm your guy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. William Manos. You can affectionately call me Bill. I'm actually the younger brother of Dan Scott, as you can tell. Dan's my partner. He's awesome. My company's Food Safety Associates. Anything you want to know about the coronavirus, I'll be glad to tell you and scare you to death. That's basically my business. Wherever Pepsi goes, I'm going. My cousin was a vice president at Pepsi. You're fired. No, yeah. So, anyway, thank you so much for having us this morning.
Thank you.
Good morning, Dave Rittenhouse, Action Steps for Success. Utilizing B&I is one of the tools in our networking toolkit. Have you ever looked at referrals and thought about, how can I put more referrals in someone else's pipeline? That's what we help people learn, and that's what we help people do, utilizing B&I system and structure. Thank you.
I'm Steve Bronner again, Executive Director with BNI, Greater Los Angeles, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we do that is not as physical as I can touch it and feel it and hold it. And I just want to tell you that 23 years ago, when I put my first foot out there in word-of-mouth marketing, I was incredibly shy. I joined because I would not leave the house for 6 years and I would not speak to people. So from that, I've been able to address audiences in the thousands and rooms with 1 or 2 people, and I'd like to help you do that as well.
Good morning, I'm Ted Green. My firm is Green Public Affairs and Campaigns. In addition to your chamber, I serve as the legislative consultant for 5 other local chambers of commerce, and I help companies and trade associations address political public policy issues through coalition building, grassroots organizing, and good old-fashioned lobbying. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Nemo State Van Rental. We are a car rental company. We specialize in passenger vans and cargo vans, but we have regular cars as well. We are in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and San Francisco. In addition to that, I am also interested and active in all things policy and I am also a board member of the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Good morning again. Ruzbe Farahanipour. I'm owner of the Delphi Greek on Westwood Boulevard. Our specialty is business catering and corporate catering. If you know anybody, they need a lunch corporate catering, all over the LA County. Just think of us, we're gonna take care of it for you. Thank you.
Elham Yahubian Tower of Bible Language Services. We provide tutors in different languages, translator, interpreters. We can translate any kind of documents, books, anything. We also have certified translator from Europe, Federal Court of Europe. So if you want to translate any documents valid for those countries, we can help you. We also help artists, actresses for dialogue coaching. So if you know anyone, we can help you. Thank you.
Are you good on introducing yourself again, or are you pass you?
I am Armen Bayburtian, and you can notice why my first name sounds like my country's name.
True, true.
It's a pleasure once again.
Thank you, Armen. And sir?
Hi, my name is Faza Bertahi. I'm a filmmaker, reviewer, photographer, and I'm working in the fashion industry.
And he just graduated.
Yeah, and yeah, last month I graduated from Los Angeles Business School with Bachelor of Science in Cinematography.
Congratulations! Are we missing anyone?
You.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Daniel Rango. I'm a real estate agent. I specialize in residential and residential income property. But if you're like, oh my God, he's such a nice guy, I really want to do business with him, but I don't want to buy a house right now. Don't worry, it would mean a lot to me. I write content. I have a YouTube channel. If you follow me, if you click like, if you click subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. You can find me on YouTube, The Artist of Real Estate. You can find me on my website, theartistofrealestate.com. You can find me on Facebook, The Artist of Real Estate. There we go. Thank you guys. We have anything before we close up? I have on my checklist a huge thank you to the ambassadors of the West LA Chamber of Commerce. Can you stand up just so we know who you are? No? Or not? I'm out of context. Okay. I'm going to close this thing up. I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to host. You guys are beautiful. I love you. I look forward to seeing you next month or at the next event. Thank you. Round of applause to everyone.